The Oklahoma City Thunder go on a massive avalanche-like run yet again, getting a lopsided win over the Memphis Grizzlies, which was not always a lopsided game. In fact, this game was tied in the fourth quarter. How did they pull this off? All coming up on today's show.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member and beat writer for Thunder on SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder going on a massive run to eventually make this a lopsided game against the Memphis Grizzlies. SGA displayed leadership, displayed what his game can become in the postseason for the second straight year. Dort made some game-sealing plays and decisions. Isaiah Hartenstein was awesome, and so much more. Today's show, of course, is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Thunder headed into this game, and neither team could create separation throughout the first half. They just went back and forth, and it was a mixed bag, right? Like there were moments of this game where the Thunder played really well. There were moments of this game where both teams played really well. There was moments of this game where both teams played kind of flat, and it all evened out to being basically a tied game at halftime. And then out of the third quarter, the Thunder kind of wrestled away control, so we thought, when they grew a 13-point lead. That eventually was trimmed up and tied before the end of the third quarter. Back and forth they go again, and it's tied at even at the 7:55 mark. And this is how you're going to know today. It's Friday. National podcasts are out there on Fridays. This is how you're going to know who watched the game and who did not watch the game, because the score would lead you to believe, when you see the Thunder win 125-104, this was a typical Thunder vehicle. I mean, they took care of business against a team that didn't have John Morant. Of course, they have a Brandon Clark injury, that's long-term. Didn't have Brandon Clark. And the Thunder are just simply better than, and they took care of business. But it was way closer than that. And Mark talked about it after the game. Memphis was a very hungry team. Memphis played really good basketball. And the fact that the Thunder hung around, even after letting go of that 13-point lead, is what allowed them to then in turn run away with it. And all these games throughout the season have a through line. And you can go as recently back as this week, where we talked about how you can't let this Thunder team hang around, and if you do, they're going to beat you. You can go as far back as October, November, whenever I was being laughed off the pod for talking about the knack for these avalanche-like runs for Oklahoma City. And that's what you saw tonight. A game that had 22 lead changes, 11 ties, and the Thunder don't grow their largest lead of the night until the end of the fourth quarter, which was 23 points, and never got behind by more than 5 points against Memphis. The Thunder hung around, and then the run swung around. And it's not the sexiest type of run to go on, right? It's not what the Warriors used to do, where they're just tossing in threes. They feel like they can't miss. It feels like it's a complete downhill venture, but it's almost more suffocating in a way. Because like when Steph and Clay and them were launching threes, and KD joined the group, obviously, there was an element of like, deep down, they're just better than you. And they're just insanely talented shooters. This Thunder team will suffocate you. They'll play incredible defense. They'll force turnovers. And to their credit, some of them are just that they're better than you. Some of them are just that their hands are faster than your hands are, and that they have a knack for the basketball and a nose for it, and they can jump the passing lanes, and they can frustrate you that way. Some of it is you get so caught up in the midst of a run that then you start throwing the ball around like you're the Bad News Bears. And it kind of unravels on you. The Thunder can unravel you down the stretch of these games, and it's what they've done consistently. And J-Dub has been talking about this year, watch the games. Whenever he gets asked about, MVP races, and tonight it was a Defensive Player of the Year race, he just has a fallback to watch the games. And the net rating stuff is awesome for this team. And, the point differential stuff is awesome for this team. And they've had a lot of blowout wins, but tonight will be classified as a blowout win, but it's in a similar vein of many other Thunder quote unquote blowout wins where they just take over. You can play as good as you want to. You can play as hungry as you want to. Memphis had no business losing by this lopsided of a margin by anything that they did until the Thunder just decided, you know what? Let's take it over. Let's go get every long rebound. Let's go get every passing lane. Let's go get turnovers. Let's go out and transition. And nothing can stop that bleeding. And where I think that these avalanches have to be taken seriously, and this topic has been a thing since before Chet broke his hip. That's before November 10th of this season. And again, it wasn't taken as seriously back then as I think people are taking it now. But the reason I think that it should be taken seriously is we talk about three-point shooting variances a lot, right? And we talk about that Warriors run. What happened against Houston? 0 for 27? No one would begrudge you to say that was a really good three-point shooting Houston team, and that Houston team was a good shooting team, and that's what they were built on, and that they could have gone toe-to-toe with Golden State, except it went 0 for 27 because they left it up into a variant category. Defense travels. Defense carries over. Defense is consistent because it's all about engagement. It's all about effort. It's all about intensity. Wish I could have found another E word there. That would have been killer. The 3 E's. Probably should have thought of that about that. I'll try for the next pod to have 3 E's. Let me know your 3 E's down below. But regardless, it's sustainable. The Thunder are going to turn you over. The Thunder are going to change how you play. Because listen, if you want to try to pass the ball around the court, good luck against Oklahoma City. And then, if that's your bread and butter, and now you have to shift to an ISO style, yeah, good luck. You're going to be isolating against Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, SGA even. That's tough sledding too, because there's an anchor back there on top of having elite point of attack defenders. And so again, the through line from all 61 wins, which is now a franchise best mark, has been the Thunder hanging around, and eventually they're going to wrestle away control from you. And eventually they're going to put their foot down, and eventually they're going to win. The Thunder forced 18 turnovers against the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. On top of those 18 turnovers, they won the rebounding battle 45-36. On top of that, the Thunder shot 49% from the floor, 42% from three, 85% at the free throw line. And Memphis shot 41% from the floor, 38% from three, and 95% at the free throw line. Thunder lap Memphis in points in the paint, 48-26. Thunder win second chance points, 17-8 or 6. And the Thunder blow out fast break points, obviously, 20-8 in this game. In a game that saw 22 lead changes and 11 ties. They're just the better team, and that's the case in nearly every single game, if not every single game, that they're going to play. And to kind of put the screws down on Memphis, where they had a 15-point fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter, this game was tied. Shai's rotational pattern. Whenever Shai stepped back on the court, the game was tied. And that felt like a big win for the Thunder. And Mark said as much, that in a way they were lucky to be tied with this team, to have the ability to go on that run. And that's a large reason why Shai was a plus 26 and Lou was a plus 27 on the night. But the avalanche continues to happen. And it's been a trend this whole season. And I'll say it again. I don't know how you put together 4 wins in 7 games before the Thunder do, because I don't foresee a team blowing out the Thunder 4 times. And so we've seen now a sample size of the Thunder winning tight games. And this is the whole thing about the clutch stat, right? Of how low the clutch numbers are in terms of how many clutch time games the Thunder have played. This game was tied with 7:55 to go. Couple minutes away from being deemed clutch. It couldn't get there. Memphis carried this game to a clutch standpoint, and they were a couple minutes shy of officially reaching clutch territory, and they still couldn't get it there because the Thunder just blew them out with a 13-0 run in a blink, less than 2 minutes, which snowballed into like a 23-5 run in the fourth quarter. It's impressive stuff. Coming up, let's talk Shai, Lou, I Heart, so much more. But first, I want to say right now, but good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because March Madness is here and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on everything from buzzer beaters, Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting the nets down. So go there right now to FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. And if you're only an NBA fan, don't fret. They still have NBA action for you. Like tonight, when the Cleveland Cavaliers travel to Detroit to take on the Pistons 6.5-point dogs against Cleveland on their home court. Check it out today at FanDuel.com. We're back on the Lockdown Thunder podcast, on the Lockdown Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Subscribe, like, comment, review, and enjoy. So this Thunder team was able to pull away from Memphis. And I think that tonight starts with Shai. 37 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals with 0 turnovers. 60% shooting from the floor, went 0 for 2 from 3. So inside the arc, even better than that. And 7 for 9 at the free throw line. Not a good free throw shooting night from Shai. Shai's usually perfect. Shai might miss 1, but he missed a couple in this game. All in 33 minutes as a plus 26. I thought Shai was a great leader in this game. The way that he brought together the offense, connected the offense, both as a scorer and as a playmaker and a table setter, I thought all stood out. Whenever you look at turning defense into offense, he was in the midst of that as well. We mentioned the 3 steals. That was big time for OKC. And we mentioned how he checks in that fourth quarter of a tie game, and he's involved in everything, even though, the stat line ends up being 6 points, a steal, and an assist. The steal was huge. Deflections were huge. Those things that don't show up in the box score. Still a very good box score. I mean, he scored 6 points in the fourth quarter in 4 minutes, technically 5 minutes of action. So still a great quarter. But overall, I thought this was a consistent game, and it started from the word go. The opening bucket was being able to lower his shoulder into Jaren Jackson Jr. and bump Jaren Jackson Jr. off his spot and get to the rim and finish at the rim. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have many a Defensive Player of the Year votes, first place votes. You don't just do that to Jaren Jackson Jr., but the strength and the body control of SGA is just elite. It's historically good for the guard position. And I don't know what it's going to take to crown him as such, but he should be. I think that this playoffs will be a coronation of how historically great that SGA is. And the reason why I think that is last year, when the Thunder have that week off heading into the first round and people are trying to predict first round series and trying to study up on OKC and study up on the playoff bracket, I think that people are going to look back and say, you know what? He actually was really good against Dallas. 32 points a game against Dallas whenever, frankly, you could ignore everyone else on the floor. J-Dub didn't have it offensively. His shooters didn't have it offensively. You could ignore everybody else, and he still got to 32 points a night. He was special. He translated. I think that the fear-mongering of what happens with the playoff whistle? What happens with the playoff intensity? Guys, we've answered the question. Hello? Is this thing on? Has anybody been paying attention? Did anybody watch? It was you can't even blame NBA TV. They weren't even on there last playoffs. He was excellent. And a way that I think that you can evolve this is how he's evolved. This season, he's really mastered his post game, just mastered it. It's always been a part of his game, but this year he's really honed in on being unstoppable. When he gets to his spot on the baseline with his back to the basket, just put the 2 points on there, man. Just put the 2 points on there and forget about it. So he's mastered that part of his game. Where else has he improved? Assists, playmaking, passing, quick decision making. Those things have all taken massive steps this year from last year. And they both tie together. Because I ask you, just as I posed the question last year and at the start of this year, where's his pickup point? Because if he's going to shoot threes like this, you can't pick him up too high, but you also can't sag off him because he's going to shoot the three. And you've got to play somewhere in between because he's going to take advantage of that mid-range game, and he puts you in a pretzel. Another way he's going to put you in a pretzel is if you let him get to the baseline with his back to the basket, and now he's playing off of really good playmakers, really good connective playmakers. And this is the thing where it was different. Like a year ago, you might have had a better overall passer than anyone on this team, but they go hand in hand with now you have respected passers to where it's Hartenstein, it's J-Dub, it's Chet, it's guys you have to pay attention to whenever they have the ball, who are going to bring a defender out, who then, when you dump it into Shai, he is alone or one-on-one with his back to the basket in the post, playing off the ball for a second in that possession. And so you can't leave him one-on-one in the post office. We just talked about how he's automatic. He's automatic turning off shoulder and throwing up a fadeaway. He's automatic, working you in the post like that. But then again, would you just live with it? Is that a shot you want to live with? A guy who leads the league in shots made behind the backboard and shooting him over the backboard. That's how talented this guy is. This guy put Zach Edey in a blender and nailed a fall-away baseline jumper that went over Zach Edey and over the backboard. Is that the guy you want to live with one-on-one in the post? Probably not, but if you overload him and you send help to him and he spits the ball out to Jada playing off the catch or with an open shot, Chet same way. If you send help to him and Isaiah Hartenstein's behind the defense now at the rim and he dumps the ball overhead, then he's really got you. I think that baseline post area will be huge for SGA in the playoffs, will be huge for creating advantages for himself and for others come playoff time. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see if that becomes the case. But I thought that him and Lou deserved a lot of credit for this game. I mean, Lou Dort hitting that rainbow three as one of his 3 threes that he made. He went 3 for 7 from three, 43%, nothing to sneeze at all, en route to 9 points. I thought that the one that dang near touched the scoreboard, that's silly stuff. But as crazy as it is, and he's a 40% three-point shooter, as crazy as it is, that's the kind of shot that Lou just hits, especially in big moments. Like when the crowd's into it, when the game has juice, when the game has developed stakes, and this game did, at the time of that shot, man, he just has a knack for having the ball in his hands and making the right decision and hitting those shots. But I thought what was more impressive than that, and what was more impressive than even what he did to Desmond Bane, as he made Desmond Bane's life just miserable. It was insufferable. He made Desmond Bane feel like you're taking standardized testing. That level of misery. Desmond Bane's bucket over Lou, the only one, was a clear and obvious push-off. And I'm not saying that to diminish Desmond. I'm saying that as Desmond Bane had to lower the shoulder, blatantly push off, step back, shoot, and that was his best look of the night. And he hit it. I mean, that's impressive defense from Lou. I don't even think that was the most impressive part of his game. I thought that the 5 assists and the playmaking was the most impressive part of Lou's game. Lou has continued to evolve as a player of playing under control, having better shot selection, and making better decisions. And Lou Dort from a couple years ago would not have had that baseline drive, kick out top key to Shai. Shai plays off the catch, gets to the rim. Lou Dort a couple years ago would not have had that offensive rebound, dribble it out to the corner. Don't look for a shot yourself. Don't pull it up off the dribble. No, skip pass it to Cason Cason, it's a skip pass, catch and shoot three. Those little details, those little changes add up in a game that was this tight. And again, if you didn't watch the game, it might sound silly to call this game tight because of the end results. It was tied in the fourth quarter in the most meaningful stages. But those decisions help you pull away. It helps you stack possessions, as Mark and the Thunder would say. But I think we need to talk about J-Dub, his return, iHeart and his double-double, and the fact that he keeps getting hit in the face, and more all coming up. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. You can find me on Thunder on SI. You can find me at Rylan_Stiles on Twitter and anywhere else, really. J-Dub returns tonight, first game after that second night of a back-to-back against Denver on that Monday in early March. And he scores 20 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 turnovers, 50% shooting from the floor, and from three was 100%. I thought that this was a really good J-Dub game because, like, there were moments where it was ugly because, of course, there were. Like, he's coming back from a hip injury that sidelined him for half a month. And these NBA players will always tell you that, like, nothing that you do to prepare to come back to play can replicate live game action. And with the context of he was coming back from a long layoff of not playing, this was a really good outcome for J-Dub. And it could have been made even better by slightly different results in those secondary units, because there's no debate that he was really good whenever Shai was on the floor. And in the secondary units, like, he had 4 turnovers, and he's usually not a high turnover guy this season. But the 4 turnovers, like, you can think about them. The misconnection on the lob, Isaiah's catch radius is so great that, like, if you make a slightly better pass, probably going to be an assist. And now all of a sudden it's a highlight play. The outlet pass to Lou in transition that overshot him, overthrew him like he was Tyler Bray for the Tennessee Vols back in the day, trying to find Cordell Patterson. If that connects, it's another assist. It's another highlight play. It's another play that makes you feel differently. The mid-range jumper against Zach Edey, where he has Zach Edey falling around like he's twinkle toes, just tripping over himself in the mid-range. He pulls up, clean look, just above the elbow, missed it. A shot that he typically hits. That's a different play. If those 3 things go a little bit differently, which is all in the realm of possibility, then we're talking about an excellent game from J-Dub. So I still think it was a really good game from J-Dub, and really good considering the circumstances. Isaiah Hartenstein, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1 scary fall. Scary fall. One more thing on J-Dub, 8 free throw attempts. Really great job of attacking downhill, initiating contact, getting the whistle, and on top of that, 7 for 8 on free throw attempts. A guy who's had some troubles at the free throw line might be coming back around. Hartenstein, though, again, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 55% shooting from the floor. Did back rim a 3, so he tried another one. He's now 0 for 17 from 3 on the year, but who knows? Maybe by the time the season ends, he'll have one in the bag. 8 for 8 himself at the free throw line. Another perfect night. So, credit to both those guys for turning around at the free throw line. With Hartenstein, the fall was super scary. I wonder if the fall kind of put him into a sense of shock because it looked terrible. The fall happened at the basket just right in front of my face from the media seating, and I did not think he was going to get up or play the rest of this game, much less the rest of the year. And yet, because he falls and his leg bends in a way that your leg should not bend, and he immediately, as he's landing, grabbing at his knee, grabbing at his leg, rolling around for a second, and then he takes a deep breath, gets up, shoots the free throws, goes back defensively, makes an insanely good defensive possession where he cuts you off in the mid paint, flips the hips, goes to the rim, deters a shot there, runs back in transition, gets a dunk. He was clearly fine. I do wonder if, when your leg's not supposed to bend that way, your natural instinct is probably like, oh my gosh, I'm hurt. And then you're like, wait a second, I feel good. I've avoided disaster, hopefully, for Hartenstein, who continued to play out this game, and he looked really good in doing so. I thought, credit to iHeart. This is a very tiny thing, but I think it shows the maturity level of this team because we've seen both ends of the coin. when that play happened, you see the timeline flood with opinions of it being a dirty play. It was not a dirty play from Jaren Jackson Jr. It was an unfortunate play because you never want to put a guy in harm's way that way. But it was a hard-nosed play. It was just a defensive play. And Hartenstein gets up and he goes to talk to Jaren Jackson Jr. And the refs like initially try to get between him, and he's telling the refs, no, it's not anything like that. And he goes and he taps Jaren Jackson Jr. on the back and says, "Hey, we're good." Jaren Jackson Jr. looked to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," or whatever. Like they got on the same page very quickly, and then you saw the outcry stop, and it's like helping a guy out in that scenario because you know what the narrative would have been if iHeart was hurt or if iHeart got into the face of Jaren Jackson Jr. in a negative way. To help a guy out like that is really impressive because you also saw in this game and with Hartenstein himself, you saw in this game like Zach Edey and Kenrich get into a simple tie-up, which should have been called a jump ball. Edey, again, not the best on his feet, trips over his own feet like a green giant and falls down. And then he gets up clapping like he's going to do something. He looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, for most of this game. And like that reaction is just immature. It's just immature. It's just a basketball play. And Isaiah Hartenstein showed you what a mature team does, what a mature player does. But and when I say it's good for Hartenstein specifically is you did see against Houston whenever he got in somebody's grill for hitting his superstar, and he's been very protective. He's been like the guy who set that tone of we're not going to get punked, we're not going to get pushed around, which was the outcry, which was the battle cry of the Thunder in that NBA Cup series. And he did it again against the Bucks, the NBA Cup tournament. Was like we're not going to get punked. Like that was the messaging from the Thunder back then. So he set the tone for that, and I think it was a good job to help his fellow comrade out, his fellow battle participant in Jaren Jackson Jr. because he did not mean it was not a malicious play or anything of the sort. So credit to iHeart for doing that. It's a small thing like most players don't do. I mean, we see it every night where guys are just looking to be mad about something and get into each other's faces about. But iHeart was really good tonight. The push shot worked. And I thought that he did a great job defensively, especially of standing up the Memphis Grizzlies. Kenrich Williams gave you really just scrappy Kenny hustle minutes. And the box score doesn't even do him justice, and it's still a good box score. 8 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. Like, yeah, you did lose the Kenrich Williams minutes by 2, but the fact that he gives you that ability to create possessions, he gives you that ability to have a catch and shoot from 3 option. It allows you to hang around in these games. We've talked about the importance of this Thunder team just simply hanging around. Isaiah Joe had 7 off the bench, 2 for 4 from 3. And then Cason Wallace had 10 points off the bench, shooting 66% from the floor, 2 for 2 from beyond the arc. And he came back from injury in this one with 3 rebounds and 2 assists and a steal. Cason, one of the best plays of the night was whenever he played off the catch, drove off the catch and kept Desmond Bane sealed on his back hip and was able to get a layup. And so the transition dunk as well, just springing to life after catching the ball and avoiding what was a really hard contest and really good running of the floor by Memphis's transition defense to try to contest at the rim. But he got up there and dunked it before you could even try to. And so those things and his aggressive level at the rim continue to be very impressive. Jay Will and Alex Caruso did leave this game. They had a combined 17 minutes played. Caruso had 11. Jay Will had 7. It was stiffness, soreness, for those two guys. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's a precautionary type of deal, but that's kind of all we know right now is that it was soreness and stiffness. And so we'll have to see where they're at in the coming days here. The Thunder are back in action against Indiana. That's whenever we're back in action on the pod, recapping the Indiana Pacers on Saturday night. This has been a fun week of shows. Josh Giddey hit a game winner. Ironically enough, we did a Josh Giddey revisit of the trade yesterday on this very show. You can go see the thoughts on Josh Giddey's recent play, on Caruso, on the revisit of the trade overall on yesterday's Mailbag podcast, which was a question raised by you, the listeners. Again, thank you so much for making us your first listen. If you do, hope you do moving forward, incorporating us because we're Monday through Friday and after every single game. So make sure you don't miss an episode. Leave a review, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a fun season to cover thus far. It's been a journey growing this podcast. I really appreciate those of you who have been around since the beginning, and even those of you who just jumped in recently. And even those of you who only jumped in today, thank you so much, because without you, I couldn't do what I do. So make sure that you stick around if you like what you see. And we'll see tomorrow. I mean, the Thunder will have to put out an injury report tomorrow evening, but I believe that they're going to practice tomorrow. So we could have updates as soon as that on the guys who are dealing with some things. Like Wiggins was out tonight with the Achilles tendonitis and with the stiffness and soreness of Caruso and J. Will, who in their action playing, they played really well. J. Will hit a three. J. Will had a really good sequence where he hit the three, and then comes and stands up Jaren Jackson Jr. in the low post, and then throws a pass to foul to Isaiah Joe, who was cutting to the rim and got fouled and went to the free throw line off of that pocket pass that J. Will and Hartenstein try to set up for their guards in the high post. So J. Will played really well. He just couldn't play a very long time. But you know what? It's kind of embodiment of life. We're not here for a long time, folks. We're here for a good time. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.